I could definitely say that I do tend to lack confidence, and I could also say that I also do tend to, beat myself up a lot or sometimes, and, I could definitely tell to some extent that sometimes I have a very low self-esteem, to a good extent. Honestly, growing up, I was always kind of a people pleaser, and sometimes I still feel that way now, 18 turning 19 soon, like sometimes I tend to, please people, or I have the fear that, like, if I say this or if I say that, or honestly, I mean, like, even if it's me just like expressing myself and saying, I guess, like, my own opinion sometimes, I always thought that, maybe if I were to say that, maybe, that I would probably, get rejected by other people and maybe, not have as many friends. I mean, obviously, to some extent, I am able to be myself, and I really feel like a lot of people can resonate with me being myself, But I could definitely say to another extent, I'm also hiding certain parts of myself that I don't like other people to see. And, I think that's okay. Obviously, privacy is privacy. But I feel like fearing other people's opinions definitely, like, I can definitely feel as if it kind of ruins me sometimes, Like, I guess, what's one good example? I was at, like, this Halloween dance at my college with my friend. I had no motivation to dance at all, despite me wearing a costume, in which barely anybody knew who I was. I still didn't feel like dancing. Though at the end of the day, nobody really cares. Like, obviously, like, I danced in public before. I think it's the fact that, like, I was always judged in the past by other people, and I was letting those opinions dictate how I acted. And as said by Gary Vee, it's the definition of unhappiness, and it honestly really is. I could definitely say that. Other things that I also tend to be insecure about, or things that bother me, is stuttering. I stutter all the time. I'm stuttering right now sometimes as I'm making this video. Maybe I'll cut it out. Maybe I'll leave it in there just to be even more honest and authentic. Sometimes I take long pauses between what I'm saying, and my mouth makes this like weird face when I'm talking. It's a little bit funny, but it's also something that bothers me sometimes. And it's like sometimes like I want to say something, but then I can't help but think that, what if I stutter, What if I take this long pause? Or what if I take this long pause, and what if people laugh at me for it, Stuff like that. And then, I guess, to some extent, I've always been afraid to show certain parts of myself and who I am out of fear that people won't accept me, So, like, sometimes, like, if I was upset or things were bothering me, I wouldn't always tell people out of fear that maybe they just wouldn't understand, and that maybe they would probably just say, oh, just walk it off, or it's not that big of a deal, But, like, that's the thing, man. You never really know what somebody else is going through. I've been trying to, like, really apply that, Like, I'm trying not to judge people so much, because, I mean, hey, I judge myself all the time. I can be very self-critical of myself, so who the hell am I to judge somebody and be so critical about them, I don't know them. I don't know what they're going through, Shit like that. And I guess those are a few good examples of stuff like that does bother me. But I guess maybe just to shift the perspective of this video, I went to my college and I asked a few people their opinions on self-love, self-esteem, confidence, and insecurities, and basically just stuff like that. I wanted to get, like, other people's perspectives and just add a different type of dynamic to this video, just to, maybe have some guidance, And to be honest with you, when I asked them these questions, a few of the answers that I got really resonated with me, and I really, really liked that, And I feel like to some extent, some of the things that they said, I can genuinely apply in my life on a day-to-day basis if I just put in the effort. But enough of me talking about that, let me just show it to you. What are some ways in which you would try to show self-love towards yourself?
Honestly, go to the spa, go outside and, like, take a good, nice walk, take in the fresh air. Don't let these bad thoughts pollute your mind.
I do, like, the basic stuff, like, getting my hair cut, shaving, stuff like that. It may seem small, but, like, when you look at yourself afterwards, like, you really feel good about yourself, and, like, usually on how you look afterwards.
I would say make yourself some notes, like say that you're special, you're important, you're amazing, stuff like that.
By taking care of my body, working out, and making sure to include at least some healthy food within whatever fast food I eat.
What are things that make you feel more confident in yourself?
Maybe like after a good run, and just looking up at the sky and keep telling yourself that, I can do this. I can keep pushing forward, even though life's gonna get tough.
The way that I'm able to adapt stuff, like something out of the ordinary comes at me, I'm usually able to readily adapt relatively quickly. So it's usually what makes me confident.
I tell myself I can do it. I listen to some good upbeat music every once in a while. And I take some good deep breaths.
The things that I used to be insecure about, I am a lot more comfortable about with now that I've had more time and more experience, and realize it's not nearly as important as I once thought they were.
What do you think makes you feel insecure about yourself?
Mostly the shortcomings that I usually have. Usually my shortcomings and my emotions, because I always bottle them up. I'm not truly open with them. Make me feel very insecure.
With most like mental stuff, it's usually comes from yourself. So your worst enemy is yourself. So just me in general.
I actually don't know, to be honest. Sorry.
This one.
I used to be really insecure about my body and how I was perceived by other people, whether it be in class or just out on the street, but I realized no one cares.
Why do you think self-love is important through your perspective?
Good question. But through my perspective, self-love is very important to you because you matter in general. You cannot let anybody tell you that you don't matter and you don't have enough love for yourself. You're the only person that yourself can truly love. If your self-loving yourself is very important, since your worth is more important than anything else.
Self-love is important because you don't know what you yourself are capable of, and you could be like the next Einstein, the next like Drake, you can be the next whatever you want, as long as you put your mind to it and just show yourself love.
Self-love is important because it makes sure that you always feel confident that you're not alone at the end of the day, and that no matter what you do, someone loves you, even if it's yourself.
You need to have at least a certain level of self-love, because if you're detrimental to yourself, it's just going to be a gateway into being detrimental to everyone else around you, and you're less likely to realize it.
Another bad habit that I would probably typically have is also comparing myself to others. You know, I would always see what other people are doing, and like I would really let that dictate my life. You know, because like I was always so used to following what everybody else was doing to some extent. You know, sometimes I like doing my own thing, and I don't always like copying everybody else. You know, I have my own things that I do that are different from other people, and I'm able to stand out that way. Or not even just stand out, but just more like be myself, you know? But I can also definitely say that to another extent, I always let, how everybody else was doing dictate, how I felt, One time, I went to my friend's birthday party. Everybody knew this song and was dancing to it and like singing to it, and I'm just that one guy in the corner. I'm just sitting there all awkward, feeling like, wow, I feel so uncultured, Like, I felt like I should know that song. I should be doing what they're doing, Seeing other people being so happy sometimes makes me feel sad. I guess I could say to some extent I'm a little bit jealous, but not like in a horrible and hateful way. But just to an extent to where I was like, like look at them all happy and all great and stuff. Like why can't I be like that? I should be just as happy as they are, But like that's where I'm wrong, I don't always have to feel what everybody else is feeling, I feel how I feel. Like, I'm my own person, Like, literally, bro, I'm gonna fucking wake up, still be me. I'm gonna go to bed, I'm gonna still be me. I don't know what the fuck happens in the afterlife. Maybe I'll be something else. Maybe I'll cease to, like, freaking exist, But I could definitely say that, like, like, comparing myself to others was a very toxic trait, And it made me feel as if I had to work harder and I had to try to get on other people's level in some extent or in some way, to be happy. But it just made me feel inferior, and it made me feel worse, and it would make me push myself too hard, and then I end up just feeling sorry for myself later on. I mean, shoot, like, that's genuinely how I feel. But everybody has their flaws. I feel like to one extent or to some extent, everybody is their own worst critic sometimes, you know? Even people who are famous celebrities, you know, who have millions of dollars and are really fucking killing it like in this world, like, even they've got their flaws too, you know? And maybe they feel as if they're not doing good enough, you know? So, I think to some extent, I think it's kind of, I was listening to this one guy, Brian Arnett, and he was talking about, and he posted this one thing on his story where he was talking about trying to be thankful for what you have and stuff, you know? And the truth is, you know, I may not have $1 million, I may not have, you know, 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I mean, shoot, look at me. I'm filming right now. I have 19 on this channel and 457 on my other channel. I'm not there yet, but it doesn't mean that I can never get there. I can get there, you know? Like, I have my own story to write, I've got my own thing going on, and you know, I can't always do what everybody else is doing, you know? I feel like I'm starting to become more aware of that. And you know, I think that's kind of nice, you know? Everyone's got their flaws, everyone's got their own thing going on, that bothers them, you know? And I'm like that too, you know? I think it's okay. And you know, okay, I was gonna title this video, I don't have a Valentine, so I tried loving myself more instead, but I feel like practically every human in the world is able to love themselves to a good extent, you know? Obviously, there's a lot of people saying that, oh, do this, oh, do that, and to some extent, some of those things work and other things don't. I mean, shoot, me talking to you guys, talking about this stuff, like, I could be wrong, you know? Like, I'm my own person, I have my own perspective, what works for me may not work for you. You know? But I can definitely say that when it comes to loving myself, I think that to a good extent, I do love myself. I do things that make me happy, and I do things that make me feel good, you know? And I'm realizing at a certain extent, also from other things, that maybe I don't have to really 100%, you know, love myself before I can love somebody else, you know? I mean, we're always gonna have flaws and things that we're insecure about. If we were perfect, I mean, shit. World would be a way better place, you know? But I mean, hey, we try and we do our best, and things just work out in its own way, you know? I'm just beginning to realize that, hey, you know, I don't always have to be in control of things all the time. I don't always have to constantly be afraid of the future all the time, because I mean, shoot, like, I freaking sprained my ankle skateboarding. I thought it was gonna be some horrible, drastic, terrible thing. I'm still standing. I went out skating for a bit yesterday, and I felt fucking great, you know? I mean, stuff like that, you know? I think that we are a lot stronger than we think we are. I think we can handle more than we think, you know? I feel like when it comes to loving ourselves, I feel like it's an in-between, you know? I think to some extent we should be able to love ourselves to a good extent, but then also try to, you know, accept ourselves. Obviously, we do have our insecurities and we do have our flaws, but I think it's about finding that middle point, you know? Being able to, you know, love ourselves to a good amount, but then also being able to accept ourselves, you know? Because at the end of the day, this life comes with both good and bad, and you gotta take both by the horns. I'm sure someone else said that, so not an original quote by me, so yeah, I'm not gonna freaking say that's mine, but I feel like to a good extent, it's good to focus on things in the in-between, you know? And I think that's really, really cool, you know? And honestly, I feel like trying to find that balance could just give us a little bit more peace at the end of the day, you know? Obviously, good things are gonna happen, bad things are going to happen, and that's just the way it goes, I guess. I hate saying that, but I think this is me, you know, surrendering to trying to always have control of everything. And this is a thing that I'm going to try to work on a little bit, you know? To some extent, some anxiety will still be there, and some other problems will still be there, but you know, I'm going to try to accept them for what they are, rather than constantly try to push them away, you know? And I think I'm cool with that. As Anthony Ferraro once said, it's not a race, it's a marathon, you know? Like, it really is a long-time marathon, and it's really a journey, you know? I mean, look at me. I failed my driver's test the first 2 times. One time I hit the curb, one time I switched lanes wrong, you know? Crap like that, you know? But like, honestly, and then I really did beat myself up for that, you know? But then the 3rd time, I got it right, and now I drive myself to school practically like every single day, you know? Like a year ago, 2 years ago, I couldn't fucking do that, you know? Like, it's the same thing with me and like skateboarding and stuff, you know? I mean, there was a time in skateboarding where I couldn't even I may write a board or do anything, you know? And now I'm writing a board, I'm doing numerous tricks, I'm doing a bunch of amazing stuff, you know? Time where I barely have like any friends, you know? But like now, I'm older now, and I can say that I have at least 15 to 20, you know? And that's really cool, you know? Like, we're growing in ways that we don't always think we are, you know? And we're growing when we least expect it. And you know, I really am beginning to realize that, you know? Like, I'm still gonna have my shortcomings, I'm still gonna have problems later in the future, you know? But I could definitely say that growth does come with time, and that sometimes it doesn't always need to be rushed, you know? Just because there are other people also doing really cool and amazing things, it doesn't mean that you aren't doing wonderful, beautiful, and amazing things, you know? And I feel like once we're able to let go of some of that stuff, you know, of pushing ourselves too hard and just trying to you know, accept ourselves for how we are, I think that's when we can truly be content with ourselves to a good extent, you know? Sure, there'll be some dark times and some bad times, but there'll be good times too, you know? I'm willing to accept both of them for how they are, because, you know, I think that's just the best way to go at it. At least that's what I think. Thanks for watching.